Hi everybody, in this episode we're going to do early spring maintenance on Japanese quinces. Welcome back everybody. So I get a lot of questions about Japanese quinces in Southern California particularly. I've been growing these for since the beginning actually. I was really inspired by one of the pictures that Lindsay had in his workshop back at the Mount Fuji nursery. So when I saw the picture I said, I want one of these, and so it got me into this craze. So after about, this is a good 15 years now, 15, 12? About 12 years into doing bonsai, I think I got pretty intimate with these Japanese quinces. So I'm going to share some of the tips and techniques that I've picked up and learned about quinces during the springtime. So join us today as I kind of go through this process. So Japanese quinces usually bloom in the springtime. They'll have a chance to bloom again in the fall. But their main show right now, this is really the early spring. And especially when we're having this 90-degree heat in Southern Cal, we hit this heat wave. We went from like 50 degrees, 60 degrees to like 90 degrees overnight. And this is happening for the last almost 2 weeks now. But when that happens, these things are triggered to bloom. And you can see it's profusely blooming at this point. And then what I've noticed throughout the winter time is you're tempted to prune them. And then I found out is you do not prune deciduous material during dead of winter, and the reason why is you're going to have these huge diebacks, and quinces are notorious for that. Repotting, you can do that during the springtime. It's a great time to do it. Right before it blooms, or when it's pushing its bloom, is a great time to do it. And for this early spring, so I call this early spring, this is like beginning of February, March, that's really where mostly these Japanese quinces should be blooming for you. What you need to do is look at the silhouette. So my goal, when I'm done with this the next couple of minutes, is I'm gonna retrain the silhouette. Most of the stuff that you see on the perimeter of the silhouette has been growing since last year. So this is like last year's growth. What I'm doing is, if you prune during the hard winter time when it's totally dormant, you have a chance for the whole branch to die back, and that's what you don't want to happen. You want to make sure that you have the sap is, or the whatever's in the plant is flowing at this point, and that's where you want to make sure you make your cuts. And how you make your cuts is really easy, is directional pruning, and I'll talk about that in a couple seconds here. And these guys are pretty low maintenance. The only thing is you got to make sure in Southern California you water the crap out of them basically, so they're not very drought tolerant. They can take maybe a couple hours of a dry spell, but after that they do pretty well. They die back pretty well. This is a contorted white. If you look at the branches, they're naturally contorted. You really don't need to wire it, and they trunk up pretty easily. The other varieties like Toyo Nishiki, or like the Chojubai, they're a little different. Each one are slightly different. I found out this particular, the white ones, especially contorted white, extremely easy to take care of. You never have a quince, this is probably a really good flowering tree to start off with. It's low maintenance, it's really a shrub. I have a couple of them in the ground, and they're just really spectacular. So let me turn the camera on so you guys can see the point of view, and then I'm just gonna show you guys how I trim this guy up. So here's point of view. This is like a clump style. I was gonna sell this, but it's just so pretty. I have like a couple of these plants, and I really enjoy the easy maintenance, especially in California. I'm getting a little more busy here with robotics, so this is a nice reprieve sometimes coming home from work or after a competition. It's a great way to kind of relax. So directional pruning, really easy. So let me bring this down. Most of the flowers will be on the secondary, or what I call old wood. Most of the new wood right here, they don't really have flowers. So this is like last year's fall growth or spring or summer growth. They usually don't have flowers on it, usually, especially this variety. But sometimes they do, like this one has, like this one does. Okay, but that died back right there. I'm sorry, you guys are not in view here. Let me switch over a little bit. Sorry about that. Okay. So this is spring. This is probably spring growth. This is summer growth. And I got hit by the heat wave, so you can see it tip died right there. So they like flowering on second year growth. So and they will flower back on old growth. I mean, if you look down here, they're flowering back on old growth, and that's really common about these guys. So directional pruning. Each of these nodes, sorry. Each of these nodes here, let me zoom in, sorry about that. That's what happens when you're a one-man camera person here. Let me zoom in. That better? There we go. Okay. So each of these nodes, okay, each of the nodes you see there will push a bud, and so when you cut it, here's an example here. When you cut it, it will force a branch from a new branch from that location. So that's what directional pruning. So if I cut this one right here, a branch will come up and out. I like branches are down low and then they'll push up and out. So it's a little more softer of a bend versus a straight vertical branch. That's what I usually do. And I cut, okay, I'll cut with at least 1, 2, 3, 4 nodes on them. Just in case it dies back, I have some options. And these things are notorious to die back pretty quick. So here's 1, 2, 3. I'll cut it right there. Same thing with that one. Okay, and I usually, when I cut it, I make sure it's green on it. I know it's still pushing growth and I know it will survive. And with directional pruning, it's sometimes better than wiring. Wiring is sometimes a necessity to get in the shape you want, but sometimes you can do most of this work without wiring. It's a cop-out, but some trees, quinces, elms, could be trained exclusively with directional pruning. And what I'm just doing is I'm just working on that silhouette. So my silhouette's going to be right here, okay, where that flower line is. So I'm always pushing back a couple nodes, and I make sure all these branches are going out and not just vertically straight up. So it has some movement with the bends, like things that you can go back and clean, or some of the old branches like that. Dead branches you can always trim off. And that's pretty much it. And the hard part about these guys, especially in Southern Cal, is just the heat that we get. We get these really hot, dry spells. These things will tell you pretty darn quick that it's not happy. But if you can trim these when they're pushing growth, you're going to have really good success. If you guys keep these moist but not like wet, they don't like wet feet, you do pretty well. And then feeding regimen is really easy. These guys just like to be fed, period. I mean, they just like to be fed. So let me speed this up a little bit. I like some of these old growth. It's just me. I just like the character it brings to the tree. Some people may not like it. Like this one's like crossing. Okay, so you can cut lower down. Some people do this trimming after flowers, and you guys understand why. It's just so pretty. Anything that's going back in, I try to remove. but it's contorted. So sometimes it's just, name of the species here. And this is only its first trimming. Usually when it starts pushing growth again, I will trim it one more time just to keep in the silhouette, and I'll push it back again. So right now I'm just pulling that silhouette, and then around, I'll probably do another update video probably around March or April when its new growth comes out, and I'll push it again. My goal is to make that interior as full as possible. And quinces are known to shed entire branches. Or these suckers down here, these suckers down here will take over, and the main branches will die, especially when they're heat stressed. So if you know your tree is going to go through heat stress, it will shed its branches easily. So something to think about. Other than that, these things are pretty indestructible if you keep it watered and happy. I think that's it for today. So let me zoom out so you can see like this, how much maintenance is done during the early spring, and then we'll wrap this up. So this is the quick final process. I didn't really remove in some of the big branches that probably needs to get removed. I'm tempted to remove this guy. I might bend this one out of the way a little bit to make it just a bigger clump. But it's really simple, really easy process. I just kind of trim the outer canopy using the directional pruning. Make sure all the branches are going up and out. And then for spring pruning, especially for Japanese quinces, you want to make sure that, or flowering quinces, excuse me, you want to make sure that it's pushing growth. You can, when you cut it, it's green. You know it's pushing at that point. And this is a good time to like clean up some branches, like the stub I had out here. It's a great time to go back and kind of start nubbing them back to a nice transition. So it doesn't look as obvious as like it's just a dead branch and you just didn't really take care of it. But yeah. Things like that, it's a great time to do it. I would seal it too, so it doesn't dry out. But other than that, it's really easy. Remember, I really took out, long nodes like that just to get the silhouette going again. Again, join us next time. If you like this type of quick videos, like and subscribe. I'd like to hear from you guys. It's great for the support. And again, thank you, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.